As you might know, DSLR cameras have two ports like these on the side for a mic input and another input to control the camera. With a 2.5mm jack, you can access that control input to make the camera focus or take a picture with just 3 wires. This is the pinout for the 2.5mm jack. Now I'm working with a Canon camera. Other cameras may have different pinouts, so you have to be careful and do your research before attempting this on a different camera. 2.5mm jacks are not that easy to find, but I got mine from an Xbox headset that plugs into the controller. Old Nokia headsets use 2.5mm jacks too. Obviously, these 2.5mm jacks are smaller than the regular 3.5mm ones that we are used to and see all the time. So obviously we wouldn't want to stand by our camera and touch 2 wires together for a time-lapse, so we make a chip do the switching. This is the controller powered by an ATTINY 85 microcontroller. For the purposes of this video, I'll assume that you know how to program the ATTINY chip, but if you don't, I have a video on that you can check out. Link will be in the description. Beside the chip, you will see a power switch, a dip switch with 5 selections, and an LED that is connected to our output, making it easy to see when the chip is switching. By the way, these resistors don't do anything. Ignore them. This whole board is messy as a result of my rapid prototyping. In the future, I'll be making my own circuit boards from copper-clad boards. First, you have to set the camera up. Once that's done, you can connect the board to the camera and make your selection for the time interval you want, and turn on the board. It will instantly start taking pictures at the interval you selected. You may be wondering why you would want something like this if most cameras have a built-in time-lapse option already. Well, while your camera may have this feature, it may have limited options for changing the resolution you take pictures at, or the duration of the entire time-lapse. If you use an external controller, you will have more options when it comes to shooting pictures. Another reason is that this doesn't have to be for a single camera. You could easily modify this to daisy chain multiple cameras together and have them all take a picture at the same time. Or you could just use this as a general timer and connect pretty much anything to it. One of the concerns I had was if the controller was accurate. On the 10-second interval, it was close enough. On the minute interval, it was off by about 2 seconds. Now, there are a lot of factors that come into play to make this chip run accurately, which I'll explain mostly when I get to the code. Because it loses about 2 seconds per minute, you can scale that up and see how the error grows. You can compensate for this in the code, however. Another important question was how long can this controller last if powered by batteries? Well, I measured the current it draws when it switches, and it peaks at 20 milliamps. So if I use a common lithium-ion battery pack like this one with all cells connected in parallel, we can say for certain that this board will keep switching for at least 10 days, if not more. Again, if you want this to last longer, you will have to edit the code and remove some components on the board. Keep in mind the ATTINY chip can operate from 2.7 to 5.5 volts, so while it is safe to directly connect the battery pack to it, you risk destroying your batteries because the lithium cells are fully discharged at 3.3 volts, but the ATTINY can still operate under that voltage. I would suggest some kind of low voltage shutoff switch here. Also, here's the final schematic for the controller. Pause the video as needed. So I just wanted to explain the code a little bit that's inside the ATTINY for any beginners out there or for anyone that's curious as to how this works on the inside. So first we have to define all our global variables, and that would be most of our constants, which are our pin numbers. So our pin numbers don't change, that's why they're constants. And then we have this unsigned long delay variable. Now this is kind of important because unsigned long is a type of variable that can store a lot of information compared to if I made this an int variable, right? This int variable is the most basic type of variable, most common type of variable that everybody uses when they program the Arduino or ATTINY. And int sometimes is not enough to store large amounts of data. And right now we're using the delay variable to store all the delay intervals that we want for each switch, right? So we want it to store a bunch of data, and so that's why we do unsigned long instead of the regular int variable. And this is just like a general overview of, two different types of variables and why one is better than the other. If you want more information about all the different types of variables, then obviously, you have to do your research. But from what I've heard, and actually from what I've tested, is that the unsigned long type of variable is better for timers. Anything that involves timing something, then unsigned long is better at it to store that data. Anyway, moving on. Then we have the void setup, and this just runs once when the microcontroller powers up. And we have all the pins defined as inputs, but we also pull all of those pins up. And so this is actually something that I was stuck on for a while because when you're dealing with switches and microcontrollers, well, you don't want your switch on the microcontroller to be floating. And by that I mean the switch has to be biased to either the ground or the positive voltage line. And so when it's biased to the positive voltage line, that's called pulling up the pin. And when it's biased to the ground side, then that's called pulling the pin down. Now, unfortunately, the microcontroller, the ATTINY 85 that I'm using, does not have internal pull downs, so it cannot bias the pins down to ground. But it can bias all these pins to the 5-volt line that I'm using to power it. So instead of adding extra components on my PCB, which would be resistors biasing all the pins to ground, as you would probably normally do, I just did it this way in the software, so I wouldn't have to use more hardware to bias these pins. So luckily the ATTINY 85 has this internal pull up command that you can do on all these pins, so all these pins will be biased, and you won't get floating signals. If you want to know more about floating signals, then obviously you can Google it, but that should be a sufficient explanation as to why I'm doing this. Anyway, so then we have the LED pin, which is obviously our output. And from there we have this whole chunk of code that defines how our microcontroller is going to switch from one interval to another. So we have our delay intervals. So everything is in microseconds, and 10,000 microseconds here equals 10 seconds. So this is 10 seconds, and this is 60 seconds, which is a minute. This is half an hour. This is 1 hour. And this is 6 hours. So maybe it would be better if I just separate one of these chunks out from the bigger chunk of code and just tell you how this works first, because what I'm forcing the microcontroller to do is read pin 1, read the digital value that's on pin 1, and that is going to equal our A variable, and notice how that's unsigned long. So our A variable is going into our if-else function, and all this does is check if our A variable, which would be our pin 1, is at a low value, and if it is, then change the delay variable to 10 seconds, right here. And if our A variable is high, then just skip this and go on to the rest of the code. And that's all I'm doing for every single chunk that you see here. So I'm using a dip switch here, and the dip switch has 5 switches, and so that's why I'm using 5 pins or 5 variables here, and I have 5 options for 5 different timing intervals, and that is going to be run once. So All of this is going to be run once when the microcontroller powers on. And then just the point of all of this is to set the delay variable to a certain number. And then once this runs once and the delay variable is set, then you would go on to the loop, which would run endlessly. And then in the loop, we have our output, which would be our LED pin. Now, it's important to know that you can make this delay shorter or longer as necessary because the device that you're trying to switch on and off may be either too fast or too slow, and you may want the high signal to end quickly, or you may want the high signal to stay there for a while before ending. And then obviously we go back to low and the output, the LED turns off, and the amount of time that this LED or output is off depends on the delay variable that we set at the very beginning of the code. And it could be any one of these numbers. Some other things to consider are that the accuracy of the timing for the ATTINY also depends on its clock speed. So 1 megahertz in my testing provided the least accuracy, and the 16 megahertz clock speed provided the most accuracy. So I just kept it at 16 megahertz. Also, interestingly enough, you could probably compensate for those 2 seconds per minute lost by just adding 2 seconds to each interval here, and then you should be okay. So what I'm saying is that this code obviously isn't perfect, and I fully recommend changing it around in the way that suits you best. So it's definitely worth going into the code and changing some things. I found that if you have very messy code, then most likely your code will run pretty slowly and it will mess up your timing interval. And yeah, I'm using delay in this code, and you could probably use something other than delay. Maybe some timing interrupts would be better. But for the purposes that I'm using it for, it's perfectly fine. Anyway, hope you learned something, and thanks for watching. See you in the next one.